And welcome everybody to our coaching session. We go live every Tuesday, Clover Tech and I, and we chat about content creation from the point of view of the live every Tuesday, Clover Tech and I, and we chat about content creation from the point of view of the live every Tuesday, Clover Tech and I, and okay, sorry about that. From the point of view of a Second Amendment gun community content creator. And we started this whole thing about a year ago, maybe a little bit, right? Probably right about a year ago, getting ready for SHOT Show
Yeah.
for this year, 2023. But we just started seeing, I guess, the beginnings of SHOT Show 2024. So we've been doing a series here on the advanced or intermediate theory or, version, or I guess topics. It's the last couple of 7 weeks. So we took a break from that to chat about SHOT Show. So with that, let's let Clover say hey and let people start asking questions. We're calling this Ask Us Anything. So bring your question.
Yeah. Good to be here. Yeah, excited about this one. Always excited for SHOT Show. And, I don't know. You've been going, you've been registered and all that far longer than I have, but it seems like registration opened up way quicker this year than it ever has before. The media registration, anyway, which is, I think, is a good thing because, if you're out there, you want to make SHOT 24, it's something that I think you need to nail down and make that decision that you're going, and then ample time to prepare and make your plans. And we'll, of course, I'm sure, talk about a lot of that stuff and get questions along those lines. But getting the registration knocked out of the way early certainly helps with that, especially for those like first timers. There's plenty of time to get your stuff vetted and all of that, and so you're not in limbo with just a month or two left, which is, I think, is pretty neat.
Seeing people come in. I just set the show up. So for anybody listening in the future as the podcast, we do this live on Tuesday mornings. And I normally set it up like a week ahead of time. And today I set it up maybe 15 minutes ahead of time. So I appreciate everybody who's joining us for the live part of the show at a Clover, because there was no show until 15 minutes ago. So let's take a second and just talk about SHOT Show. We're assuming a lot here. Of course, we know what SHOT Show is. We started this show to talk to people who've either been going or been ready to go. So very few people want to go to something they don't know what it is. So most of the people who are listening to this show is for know what SHOT Show is. But for everybody else, it is the shooting and hunting outdoor trade show. It's been going on since the 80s. And it's a 4-day event that the firearms and gun industry get together. There's been other shows before this one. Historically, they were regional, or maybe from a distributor or a wholesaler would host a show. And these smaller shows were getting overwhelming for people who either set up at the shows or people who attended the shows. The shows are the Shooting and Hunting Outdoor Association is for gun shops and instructors and people in the industry, people in the community. It's a way to bring the everybody together for a trade show. And there were so many of them back in the day that SHOT Show was kind of created by I think it was created by NSSF, the national level organization that's sort of a liaison for the industry. They decided, hey, let's try a national level show that can be the show for all shows. And they started it out in St. Louis, and obviously it worked. So, with 2020 hindsight, that was a good idea. The regional shows are all but gone. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but for the community or for the industry, it seemed like it worked. And then, many, many years later, there's a tradition of SHOT Show. There's certain things that happen all the time and certain things that, have been tried or, didn't last. And as far as YouTube goes, people from YouTube started paying attention to the show back in the day, similar to the people from magazines or from television shows, I guess, a little bit. As SHOT Show happened in the background, it would be mentioned or alluded to. Every once in a while, there'd be a magazine article either talking about kind of behind the scenes or what the whole show was about, or where all this new pictures are coming from, or why did all these people gather. And it's just the opening of communication, the opening of data, and the removal of barriers and just removing the curtain or pulling back the curtain, the show has become more and more transparent. So it's more and more of an issue, or more and more of a thing for people besides just the industry, besides just media, and more people are looking at it as one of the things that they look forward to each year, either to attend, to hear about, or to they just know that that's one of the pivotal things each year. I hope that was a good description for people that hadn't heard it before, but Clover's got a whole nother version of it, so I'm sure you might want to add something to that.
Well, I didn't get to listen to the vast majority of your description, but yeah, largest industry trade show, right? And so, you know, um, I feel as if, from, whether you're talking 2A, whether you're talking straight up gun tuber, you know, um, SHOT Show is one of them like vital things. So many people, and I know we've got Chris from the 740 out there in the chat, and he actually was kind of putting it off last year about this time or so. And thanks to Snob, we were able to convince him that no, you really need to go, bro. And he's seen how vital, how pivotal, what it can offer. Now, there's no doubt that as a creator, SHOT Show is one of them things where you get out of it what you put into it, so to speak, or depending on how you work the show, right? So there are people, I'm sure, that go for the first time and maybe they don't have support mechanisms and structures and people to help them and kind of understand and navigate and other things. And so maybe they have a bad experience. And then obviously, if you're just going with a gun shop or something like that, it's not a big deal to you. But if you're a part of media, the fact that we're such a small percentage as media of the total attendees kind of speaks to, I guess, the importance, right, of the event and the role that we should, at least, I think, be playing at the event. So, yeah, kind of a Super Bowl, a championship, a culmination, so to speak, of our industry, and anybody and everybody and anything and everything is there, which is really, really cool.
All right, so that's an introduction. So this is an Ask Us Anything. Feel free to ask questions. That's the point of this whole Tuesday show. Really, is to offer some insight and some. We're not going to here to give anybody cheat codes, because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the industry. It doesn't help us really. So got no interest in doing that. At least I don't. But if people have serious questions or been wondering about something, this will be my 19th year, and I don't know how many years you. This would be what year for you? 5, 6.
I think this is 5. I think, yeah.
So and then I don't know. It is a big show or whatever. It's more like it's the beginning of the year and it's been around for a while. It's certainly not the only thing, and it's not required or anything. It's not uh, what's the word? It's not like I can't think of the word, but it's significant, but it's not the only thing out there. It's not like if you miss it, in other words, that you're not in a club or something, or you missed the boat.
Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I agree completely with that. I think, can you succeed and have a big channel and accomplish things by never going to SHOT Show? Yeah, right. I think it's much more difficult. Um, and much more difficult because you don't get that FaceTime. You don't get, to forge actual relationships. You know, you don't get a better understanding, I think, of the size and scope and the way the industry operates. There's no way of understanding the industry the same way not going to SHOT Show than going to SHOT Show. I don't see how that's even possible that you can do that. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like, do you want to trudge along? Do you want to cold call and send a billion, cold emails and, who knows and whatever? Or do you want to be able to just go walk into a booth, handle a product? Wow, this is cool. Have a conversation with somebody and you're all set, right? With whatever that might be, working with that product with a video, or maybe you've got a sponsorship for your 2A project, or maybe you got a sponsorship for some other project that you've got going on, right? Um, much different situation being able to actually have those conversations and legit talk to people. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I agree with that aspect of, can you do deal without, as a creator, deal without SHOT Show, or go without ever going to SHOT Show? Sure. Um, does it hurt you by doing that? And I think yes, in many ways it does. None, necessarily to, you know, varying degrees, I guess. That can hurt you as a creator by never going or not going. Um, some stuff, some aspects that you miss out on and you lose out on, I think, are far more important than others. But I think at the end of the day, not going is it's hard to. Um, I just feel it's hard to argue that it's not a net loss by not going. Like, it's just, it's tough.
All right. Well, first you're looking at it 100% from a content creator, which is fine because that's what we're doing, is making a show about coaching content creators. But in the bigger picture, SHOT Show is just a show, and it's 2024 it'll be. So it's going to have more cameras there than ever before, both media and regular people, just whoever there, just not caring about any rules and taking pictures. So understanding, getting the concept of it, listening to shows like this, I'm sure we're not the only one talking about it. You can pretty much know what SHOT Show is all about. You can go to a big conference or trade show and understand the scale, and then apply that to all the gun stuff. But you're right, everything you said there still applies and everything. I'm just saying that if you're going as a writer and you could care less about anything except being a fly on the wall, then you can be that fly on the wall remotely. And then I'll just throw out there, alternatively, that this isn't some kind of, we're getting sponsored by SHOT Show. Quite the opposite. It's kind of there. It exists. It's there to exist. It's not there to help you or hurt you. But
Well,
like any,
we've thrown our complaints at SHOT before in the past, for
yeah, I
sure.
mean, it's just a
Yeah.
giant thing. So like any giant thing, it can be amazing, and then it can also just crush things. So it's not perfect by any means, but it is pretty significant. That being said, I've been going since 2005. There's no way I'm going to um, understand what it's like to not go, but I can understand what it's like to be frustrated by not being able to go to something, right? And you can have that as a whole angle for your project. You don't have to go to SHOT Show. It's definitely not required. And if you weren't able to go, there's a couple of people that hate it with a passion. Um, and, they belligerently, I guess, make it that a badge on their channel. Like, we don't go to SHOT Show because we hate it so much. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to handle it. I mean, feel free if it hurt you or something. But if you just can't go and you're not that interested in it, you can still do a lot of stuff. I mean, the industry is going to be just fine without a SHOT Show. I mean, it's nice and it's good and there is value to it. But I'm not trying to say that this is that critical. I would not go into debt for it. I would not stress out a relationship with family or anybody else trying to get to it. Uh, you can remotely appreciate and experience SHOT. I mean, I know at least 3 or 4 people that go almost every single year, and they just say, excuse me, they just tell people, what do you want to see? What should we take our pictures of? Like, we're here with a camera. We like to take pictures. I could care less what I'm taking a picture of. What do you want to see? And you can find a couple of people like that and effectively have a lot of use. Now, if you're not trying to get a relationship or something with somebody, then who cares, what it's like to have personal conversation with them. But what Glover just said there, for more than just content creators, if you're in the industry and you want to know if it's possible to put a trigger together or if it's possible to do that new product, I mean, you can't replace SHOT Show. Being able to walk around to different booths. Um, Additionally, or I guess, adding on to what Clover said there, if you had they trying to develop a trigger for that barrel and that stock, SHOT Show's the only place you're going to be able to, unless those two people happen to be somewhere else at another location. It's about the only place that you're going to get everybody in one place with the mindset of doing business. They're not all there for Christmas. They're not all there for some anniversary. They're there to do business. And if you're there for business, I mean, that's where it gets done. So that angle of it, that part of the industry, it's significant. At the same time, it's not necessarily the engineer show or the let's sit there and strategize the new mechanism show. It's a show where you're showing off, reuniting with people. It's a bit of it's not 100% nerd. It's or 100% business. It's about half entertainment, half fun, half business. I guess I'm kind of rambling there, going in another direction. I'll just wrap it up with, we are doing an Ask Us Anything. So right now we're just kind of rambling, but ask us specific questions and we can be more specific about stuff. But I don't know. I wasn't trying to be a devil's advocate so much. It's just there's a lot going on at Shot, and we're talking about content creators, but I guess if I quit.
Well, like I said before, it's important for content creators to understand because that's one of the things with actually going to shot. Like, if you know, you know. And if you haven't been to shot, you don't know, right? And so once you get to shot, that's the only way you're going to understand what I'm saying, I think, because you have to be able to experience that to understand the industry as a whole and at large, right? And it
What's
it
something?
encompasses all the things that you were talking about, all the things you were just saying. Like I agree, there's lots of moving parts and pieces beyond just the media, even though that's probably what we're going to
It's
focus
like
on here.
going to an airport and you know that you're the one flying somewhere, but you know that airport has a lot more than just the passengers, right? It's like that's how Shot Show is. We're the passengers. We're a piece of it.
Oh, there's
Not
literally
the only thing, but there's so much more going on that we're
yeah, the
able to
ticket
experience.
takers, the janitors, right, the maintenance, the different food courts in there, the luggage handlers, the mechanics, the yeah,
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 somebody in there randomly fixing an air conditioner. Okay,
right.
so we do got some start questions here. So Milsarp Duro, good morning, everyone. Excited for Shot. I guess we should highlight. Good morning, everyone. Excited for Shot Show. Ordering some new mics and lights next week. I mean, I'm pretty sure Chicago Mics said the same thing. What, a year ago? So I'm. I don't know. There's a couple of ways to go on this. First off, we're not trying to shit on nothing or whatever, but uh, lights and mics. Mics, okay. Lights, where are you with lights? I think lights are completely unnecessary at Shot Show
Yeah.
unless you're doing B-roll at your hotel or something.
So at shot show, less is more, and this is let me back up. My perspectives and opinions are going to come from the way that I work shot show. I believe in this day and
He's
age.
different than me, and we're both different than a lot of people. So yeah, take our stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah, yeah. So this is you got to realize the way that I operate, right? Um, Now, I am not, and I get it. The first time you go, the first couple times you go, it's about booth reviews and let's film in a booth and let's film this and whatever. I'm not about that anymore. Like, I will film or I will do things um, that were a commitment or a promise made to a company that I deal with regularly or, I've got a relationship with, something like that. Yes. Occasionally I run across a new product and I'm like, oh, snap. Okay, got to go get the tripod and phone and stuff and I want to film this, right? So there are those little things that happen, but I don't go with the intent. That is not my number one goal. So first of all, right there, mics and lights and bunches of gear goes out the window. Lugging, ask the gun snob out there what I'm talking about. Lugging a bunch of gear around SHOT Show is gonna suck. It's going to slow you down. So you're already focusing instead of making those relationships, meeting people with companies, that sort of thing. You're trying to hustle and bustle around. You're sitting in a booth waiting on this person to get free so you can do an interview with this person. You got to set all that gear up. You got to lug all that gear around, which slows you down. And a lights could potentially be one of those things, at least any light that's decent, right? So on this issue of mics, though, right? It depends on the mic. Like some wireless lavalier mics with good noise canceling capability, like the Sarmonic Blink Goes, for example, um, are amazing microphones for pretty much any show. They cut the background noise very, very nicely. If you don't think so, watch the videos I put out last week or whatever from TriggerCon. That place was fairly loud. There was a lot of echo. There was a lot of stuff going on in that venue, and especially when I'm walking around the show floor, the audio freaked me out when I went to edit it. I'm like, holy crap! I didn't realize this was that crazy. I was literally standing right beside people that were filming in a booth, and my microphone did not pick up what they were saying. Because I literally said in that video, like, I got to be quiet because these folks are filming. And I was within arm's reach of them or something. And my microphone did not pick up what they were saying. So the noise cancellation was great on that. Um, yeah, I mean, just be mindful of the gear that you have to lug around. I think less is more. Um, be prepared, have some stuff where you can do video because there's going to be some cool things you see, and you may make a new relationship with a company, and you decide, wow, okay, just as a token of this newfound relationship or friendship, let's do a video, right? So you want to be able to do that for sure. And I don't know. I went off in a kind of a different direction there, maybe, Gene. But
You're very focused on making relationships and working a shot. Not everybody cares about that, and there's other ways to whatever fund a channel or host a channel or whatever. So imagine you had a massive Patreon, and or at least a Patreon that was significant enough that that's your focus, and you didn't have to focus on the relationship part other than having relationships with people, not trying to create business relationships with people. But then your whole
but
thing was
isn't that a catch-22 though?
no,
Like
because people will
you've got to try
go
to
around
build
shot
that big Patreon, and good luck building a big Patreon right now.
just because we're not doing it doesn't mean that it's not being done. There's huge Patreons. No, that's not even a thing. But I'm saying that if your thing is to go around shot and either take specific pictures for people or the first shots of the first gear, or the first new stuff, or whatever it might be, maybe you're a trap shooter, whatever it is that your niche is, you can support that niche, and SHOT Show allows you access to everything, but you don't necessarily have to have relationship building isn't the only focus of SHOT. I'm just throwing that out there. But okay, well, I'm going to move on from lights and mics, otherwise we'll be here for a bit. But as far as the tech
Yeah,
goes, I agree with Clover that gear is probably unnecessary. Lights for sure. I mean, I guess it's possible that there's dark areas at SHOT, but the thing is, unless it's something that's bolted to the
the
ground,
lighting's going to be bad regardless. Is the
you can
way I
move.
feel about it.
There's huge lighting all over the place. So, and the worst case scenario is that if you don't get it, you've got 4 days. So, I couldn't get my picture unless it's Friday. I'll come back tomorrow with the lighting. But I could definitely see people that again want to show off maybe the first knives or something, or the first pictures, or the best pictures or something of the new gear. And that's something that SHOT offers. It's the beginning of the year, and it's historically been the place where manufacturers will uh,
Now,
bring out and showcase their new stuff.
now you brought up something here. So some type of small portable rig for lighting, like maybe attaches to your, like a selfie ring or something, like attaches to your phone that you're using to take pictures at SHOT. Much different situation than I'm going to bring in lighting gear to light up to do booth interviews or
Interviews, yeah,
video.
where you
Like
need
two,
stuff and all that. Yeah.
yeah, two different things. Like if you're really heavy into the Instagram, which Instagram, by the way, for those that are new, Instagram doesn't get you into SHOT. They specifically say that doesn't count. But if that's a part of your repertoire, and you lean heavy into the Instagram along with your YouTubes and your podcasting and your other things, and you want good pictures, then a little light rig or something that's lightweight, battery rechargeable, battery powered, you can throw in your pocket or something like that. Like I don't see a problem with that. The big, huge 10, 12-inch ring lights and tripods and things like that to me are silly.
That being said, a ring light is probably ideal. If you could get a ring light run off of a USB and then have a big brick battery thing for the
Oh,
couple
I've got.
need it, I think that would be. Man, I've never used one there, but
Oh,
that
I've
would
got, dude.
all you need.
So I've got the studio redone here, and the last few videos I put out from in the studio, I've been using the ring lights. The podcast have been using the ring lights that I picked up, and I freaking love them. Um, and I would love to bring tripods and set those up at shows when I do booth interviews, but I'm not dragging all of that around. It's just, to me, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. Well, like I say, unless that's your gig. If your thing is to do it, I mean, I've done it. It's neat. It was a time when there was, nobody was doing anything yet, so it wasn't like I had the options or menu in front of me. It was we were making the menus back then, and I got sick of that too. It's also a frustration if we're talking to content creators about strategies for SHOT Show here. If your strategy is going to go to SHOT Show and try to get pictures of all the new stuff, all the cool stuff, all the stuff that people in your niche like, if that's competition, if that's concealed carry, if that's something else, right? Like you're going to go take those pictures. It's going to be ultimately frustrating when just somebody or another walks by and gets that picture first. You've got it all mapped out. You've called people. You've done as much as you can prep work, and you're going to do this strategy. Boom, boom, boom. If this doesn't work, I'm going to do that. And then you've got 8 things to do. Well, whatever's last on your list, somebody's already there, and they're taking a quick snapshot of it, and it's online. So it's going to be ultimately frustrating, whatever your strategy is. You've got, you want to work with 6 different companies. Well, whoever that 6th company is, I'm going to shake hands with all 5 the first day, and that 6th one I'll get the second day. Well, somebody shook hands with them the first day. So you're just always going to have those kind of things that it's just a huge show. I don't know if I'm what that was in regards to, but then, yeah, I don't know what I was answering there. Were we going to move on to this one, or did I leave you with? I don't want to leave you hanging here.
No, I'm good. Let's get off of let's get off of that. The gear
Yeah.
thing.
So hotel and yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Get rid of the gear too. So
Registration's been open to answer that question. So get on it.
okay, so Milsurp is saying we have the hotel room booked and just waiting for registration. So that's a lot of people are probably in that boat or could be in that boat. We know the dates of SHOT because they're not incompetent like some of the other national level events that can't tell us when the next one is this year, which is ridiculous in 2023. So SHOT Show will tell you ahead of time when the shows will be. I think we already know like 2026 or something. So we know when SHOT Show is. It's easy enough to book the rooms. It's a good idea to book them at least now, if not before now, if you can. Because there's going to be so many people there for the big CES, Computer Electronics Show, or Consumer Electronics Show. That's just there right before. SHOT Show happens at the same time as a giant concrete convention, which is really big. And then this is like the convention time of year. So right after SHOT Show, there's some other conventions. So Vegas is big and full of hotel rooms for a reason, and that's when these giant conventions happen. Not because people go gambling, it's because they go there for these conventions. So we go there when it's as crowded as Vegas can get, from what I understand. It can get a little more crowded sometimes, but we're hovering at the most crowded Vegas can get. So you don't want to wait around and assume you're going to find accommodations at the last minute. Registration, Clover just said, it is available. So they will open registration and start sending out letters. But the time of needing to wait for that was probably about 3 years ago. So back in the day, you couldn't bug them. They wouldn't open the doors until they opened the doors. But at some point, they became more technically competent and their system exists. Their system goes online at some point whenever the tech guy figures it out and everybody's happy with it. And then 3 weeks later, they'll send out emails saying, hey, it's open. We're in that area right now. Like
Little
you can
ball. Yeah. It's not. It's soft open, right? I think is what they call it. Is the soft open. They don't actually. Yeah.
It's open,
But I
but they
mean,
just haven't invited anybody yet. But you can go register if you want. It's
but
not like it fills, but you never know. I would not wait around if you've been there
yeah,
before.
uh, getting registered as quickly or as soon in the process, right? As soon as they get it open, getting registered as quickly as possible, I think, has its benefits. First of all, if you have any issues, there's plenty of time. Second of all, there's seemingly less of a rush. Most people are last minute. So most people are late October, early November registrations or whatever it seems like. So there's less of a again, that goes back to if you have any type of an issue. I will say this: if you've been before, unless you change anything in your profile, as long as you log in, it's all the same info, and you just go through the paces and register. Um, it takes literally 5 minutes anyway, and it's pretty much automated at that point. So their system can handle that pretty easy. I did have to do two. That one was a new registration, one was a redo. I had to change an email address this year. So I had two registrations that we had to do for our team that um, had changes, so it needed manual vetting and configuration, and they were still all approved and set up. It took max like 48 hours, 2 days. I got the initial round in. They were approved, and then it took another 12 to 24 hours to get the range day, SHOT Show range day stuff approved. So within, like I said, 2 days, I basically two new people signed up and ready to go for SHOT. So I don't know that it happens that quickly if you wait until later October, early November, somewhere in that area, and during the quote unquote a rush.
Again, this is Ask Us Anything, so we're just going to keep shotgunning effectively, like poking at
Yeah,
things. Feel free.
I like this question.
There's no topics, but feel free to throw anything out there.
Yeah.
So unapologetically, Arm said, "Don't want to pull off the creator perspective topic, but curious thoughts on how helpful shot can be for advocates." Feel free to go first because I'm not going to rant, obviously.
Yeah, it'd be pretty short. It can be. It shot, no matter who you are. Okay, shot. You're gonna get out of shot basically what you put into shot. Um, Speaking from an activist
Shot is living.
standpoint,
You shot exists, but shot is an organic thing. You do stuff,
yeah.
and shot will be different next year.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to be. I can remember the first time that we went, talking with G Webs because we had been so many times, and he's like, "Oh man, you got to be fluid. You got to be able to change it up," and that's absolutely true. You can take all your plans and make all these plans, and you should. You should go into SHOT Show with a plan for sure. But don't be surprised. I mean, make sure that's malleable and you've got room to bob and weave and improvise, adapt, and overcome because you never know when you get there what type of show it's going to be, what type of crazy things are going to happen, good or bad. And you need to be able to mix things up and keep moving forward. That said, no matter what you're there for, but I can see with activists I can see a lot of potential. Like I know a lot of companies that would do, and I'll give you an example. There is and this was at NRAM. It was not at SHOT Show. Um, I actually, on behalf of let's just call it a project. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but let's just say it was a project at NRAM. And I'm like, why are there not companies? I've got great relationships with companies of media. This is an awesome thing that these people do, these projects. Why are companies not funding? Why? So I reached out to like four, I think, or maybe five different companies, and I brought it up. And I said, hey, did you know this goes on? And it was a 2A related project, right? For unapologetically armed out there, just so that she knows. I said, hey, are you aware? Oh, we didn't know that was going on. That's awesome. How do we get it? How do we get a part of that? I said, well, hold on, time out. I'm not the person you need to talk to. All I can tell you is, yes, it's amazing and it goes on, and they need, they could greatly benefit from funding. And then, I contacted people with that, and I'm like, hey, I got these companies. If y'all, and it just almost like it was a brush off. Like they had better things to do and they had other things to be concerned with. And I'm like, I got this set up. These companies are wanting to throw money your way. Like, you need to go close the deal, close the sale, right? Um, so is there opportunity there? Right? 100% absolutely without a doubt. But that's going to depend on how you navigate, how you're able to sell yourself, how you're able to sell your project, and quite honestly, the companies that you approach. That being said, for unapologetically armed, leverage your. This is always something that I preach, and this is why G Webs is like, oh, you're there for all the relationships, and not everybody is. Well, everybody else is doing it wrong, and I say that tongue in cheek because here's the thing: if you work on those networking and contacts and those relationships, then unapologetically armed, we can sit down in the media room and I can go, hey, you know what? This company, this company, this company, this company, this company, I know that they throw money to 2A related projects. You may want to go talk to them. And we can say, hey, here's where you need to go talk to. And, here's the type of conversation that I think would go over well, right? I'm not going to give you a script, and I'm obviously not going to go down there and hold your hand and do all of that. You need to be able to do all that yourself. But we can definitely kind of strategize and war game some things. And that's where the this whole intermingled web of contacts and relationships and stuff like that can really pay off in something like that. But ultimately, it's going to, like the NRA example, there's a reason I threw that out there. Ultimately, it's going to come down to you've got to close that deal. And like I can't help you with that. And now G will rant for probably 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's the that's the big thing, right? Whether or not SHOT Show, shooting and hunting outdoor trade show, is values, pays attention to, gives credit to, makes room for, promotes, all these words that for the fight and the awareness, and mainly the awareness of what we are dependent on. And in a time when there's a political fight, it gets real red, white, and blue in there. But it's real superficial. And I don't think it's because anybody has any ill intent or they're not competent. I think it's they're not competent, but they're not competent because they're not competent. They're not competent because they're not practiced. They haven't had anybody with any kind of leadership to give them direction or at least some suggestions on what to do. So it's a bunch of people acting randomly, and they inadvertently just go back to their my rights, my property, and hide behind the flag bullshit. So we see some of that in political years, and that's about the only thing we see as far as advocacy. Okay, now I'm going to stop that rant because that's the facts or whatever. Now I'll go back to 2005. When I started going to SHOT Show as media, I had to tell them that a website existed, and I had to show them how you can verify who owns a website, and so that they could let me in as a website, being media. I'm not going to say I was the first one, but I think I was the first website to go in as media. So right there, I'm talking to the people who run SHOT Show, which is the people who are paid by NSSF to run SHOT Show. It's not the same every year, and it's had to go through at least a dozen in my time. It's hard to keep track because sometimes they're invisible, and sometimes they're so horrible that they're obvious, and sometimes they're so professional that you forget they're there. But there's this management company, a promotion company that does the actual SHOT Show, and that's not the same every year. Then you get NSSF, who pays the bills and who decides who's going to get paid next year to do it. But so you got these moving parts. So when media first started showing up at SHOT Show, media wasn't gun media, it was media. And media is got a connotation with the gun industry because they're constantly trying to kill us, right? They're constantly trying to change the definitions of things. They're marginalizing us. They're moving the Overton window, whatever you want to say. But, they're the fourth estate, right? They've got power to change the narrative. And they've done that typically negatively over the years. And they'd show up at SHOT Show to get their B-roll so that they could show people liking a belt-fed gun or smiling when they're holding something, and then use whatever evil bullshit they were going to put on their newscast with that in the background. And so people were really hesitant about media at SHOT Show, period. Then you get the era of the internet, and things start moving faster, way more periodicals, and things are moving faster, airsoft and toys. And then you get people showing up from international, I'm just going to say international people showing up with cameras and taking pictures of everything. And before the company can even sign agreements with toy companies, there's import versions of their guns coming in as toys, which are unlicensed. And that bothered everybody financially and just, bothered people when all of a sudden their stuff started getting stolen. Not to mention probably rip off guns and stuff like that. So pictures and cameras at SHOT Show was not necessarily a given for a long time. In fact, for most of SHOT Show. In 2005, I started going. As I said, I got to go the first time as media by just being persistent and saying, no, I do stuff online, and I have a lot of people that want to see pictures and blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, you can go. I go with digital cameras. They were 1 megapixels or something. And I've said this story before. So I start with 1 megapixel cameras. I don't know if in 2005 I could take burst video or not, but somewhere 2005 or 6, digital cameras could do like 30-second bursts of video, and it was horrible, but it was video burst, right? So I'm going to SHOT Show. I'm telling the forums back then, what do you want to see? People are telling me what they want to see. We take pictures of it. Everything's clever. You get other people at SHOT Show taking pictures with film cameras, with film that has to be developed, and then it gets edited or cropped or whatever in the dark room, like the real photo rooms, and then sent to magazines, and then eventually come out in August in the 6 pictures that accompany some guy's blog article, from SHOT Show, where our stuff is up the next day. So SHOT Show in 2005, 6, 7 changed from, we're taking pictures that you'll see them in August in the magazines, let's shake hands on $10,000 deals, to whose articles are going to be written and who's getting paid to take what pictures. Very small media. And then this questionable media that, who are you? Why are you taking pictures? Are you getting paid a lot of money for this, or are you stealing these designs? And it was, real distrust of the cameras at SHOT Show. I'm just going to not take the hour to go through all the variations that happened throughout the years, but now you get to 2023 and it is not the same. Cameras are not a problem. Nobody cares about images. There's no perception of it the same way. Nothing about that changed. I don't know if I fast forwarded too far. Some of you have heard this, my rant, a million times. Some of you haven't. I hope I didn't fast forward too far. Let me just say that, at some point we started to bring video cameras to SHOT Show. And from when it went from film cameras to digital, it was kind of a big step. People had to, accept that. But then they figured out that all we're doing is taking kind of crude pictures and putting them online. And that just got people more amped up for their product. So they actually kind of liked us and they paid us real money to do that. And then we got video. I was a little bit hesitant. I don't speak. I didn't know I was going to have to talk. What's video, blah, blah, blah. YouTube exists for a few years. People get used to doing YouTube videos. Video at SHOT Show is not that big a deal anymore. Now it's, you're not, you must be this big. If you're the biggest YouTuber, I'll talk to you. Otherwise, I'm not making time. It's like the 2016 era. Now it's beyond that. Now it's like, you are here and you have an audience. Let's talk. Why not? It's going to take 5 minutes out of my time. I don't know how big your audience is today or will be tomorrow. Let's talk. So now there's, $15,000, $20,000 booth at SHOT Show. They leave 12 by 12 section of that with an area to have selfies and to, have interviews with people. That's unheard of in 2005. So that change that I'm describing, hopefully I described it well there. That change, no one sat down and said, here's what you will do, right? Here's what's going to happen. All that happened because somebody started bringing a faster camera. Somebody started going live. Somebody started streaming. Somebody started doing this at SHOT Show instead of waiting 6 months, right? Like this stuff just happened because of supply and demand, what people could do. I'm going to outdo the other person. And it's all just the audience was sort of the people perceiving all this, the people experiencing it on the other end of the internet. We're all going, wow, that's cool. What are they going to do next year? Oh, wow, this year was pretty neat. What are they going to do next year? Well, okay, so I'm saying all this. Why can't we throw 2A in there? I mean, shame on us for not having 2A in there already, but why can't we do that same thing with 2A? Nothing just happens. Nobody's sitting down and saying, hey, 2A people, and I'm obviously talking to 2A. When I say 2A, I'm not somebody saying guns. I'm saying 2A, right? If you're a Second Amendment advocate, nobody's going to sit down and go, hey, here's the easy path to go through and gather all the money at SHOT Show. There's people doing that, but that isn't a thing. Why? And it's because there's not enough people talking into people's ears and saying, hey, you're spending how much on your marketing? You're spending how much on advertising? If you spent that on your local DC project representative instead, not only would you have way more credibility and respect in the industry, in the community, but you'd actually accomplish stuff. Our representatives would be knowledgeable and they'd have, useful people to call on when they get bad legislation in front of them. And they'd be able to effectively counter the not misunderstandings, but the whatever you call it, like the actual deceptions that the antis are using, for example, standing on the deaths of suicides, to suggest guns are bad. Once representatives start countering that with knowledgeable, aware responses, guess what goes away? So this is good for the community, and it's just a good exercise in general. Plus, it's helping ladies who are essentially on their own dime in their own time doing all this work. So is 2A part of SHOT Show? No. Can it be? Why the hell not? Like, video was not a part of SHOT Show. I can tell you the whole story again about 2009, where we brought a digital camera to SHOT Show and got 300 videos. Videos can happen with literally 3 dudes in a hotel room changing SHOT Show. So go look at what was happening pre-2009 on SHOT Show, and it was 3 people, Mil-Spec Monkey, Military Moron, and the other dude. They were the only people that had cameras there because they were the only people that had the respect of the people who would let them take video. Once we went there and started taking little shitty 30-second clips and then showed them what that could do on YouTube, it changed SHOT Show dramatically. So that can happen. It just needs to have deliberate. Somebody needs to do it. There's no national level organization organizing it, and none of the groups that deserve it realize that they are at the table, and all they have to do is request it. All they have to do is demand it, and it'll happen, literally. But they could ask it would happen. It just hasn't happened yet because no one's loud enough said, make it happen. But SHOT Show is literally the potential of imagine again, if you as media, we're talking to people mostly in media here right now. If you as media, if you said, "Hey, what's the new gun today? What's your look? What's your looking for next year? Whatever your seven questions are going to be, your three questions, your five questions that you're going to ask that each booth. What if one of them is, what Second Amendment organization do you support most?" And now they start thinking to themselves, "Oh shit, I don't have an answer to that," or maybe they do have an answer to that. And then bravo, you applaud them and let everybody know, like, they didn't have to think; they dropped right onto this one. And then maybe they, mention one that hasn't been, underdog, that hasn't been mentioned before. And what if they walk away and say, "Uh-oh, I need to be able to answer that question. Next year, we're going to have three answers to that question." Well, how would the industry change? Everybody's got selfie booths. What would it change if they had a wall of, here's the people we support, starting with our DC project rep, then, whatever faster saves lives equivalent, get schools hardened, here's the things, here's our suicide prevention advocate that we support. There's people that champion or show off their affiliations with different organizations, maybe their, dumbass new name for their stupid ass gun. Oh, look at, here's the new blah 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 thing, that we're making fun of, and it's a little joke gun. Well, what if every booth had our, here's the people that we support area, and everybody who is in media made a point of saying, there's this thing, here's what they got this year, and here's who they support. It's just, I'm ranting. I'll finish here, but I think 2A is untapped. It's like the old West in crude oil. Everybody's out here looking for gold, and 2A is the crude oil under the ground. All right. Well, so Clover left. He doesn't like hearing my rant. But sorry, that's a rant. But yeah, I think it's a touchy one. There is no specific 2A. A lot of 2A will go, "Oh, we're not invited there. We're not supposed to be there." And a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're too busy for 2A." We take that for granted. Somebody else will take care of our rights. We're just going to make a new grip angle. Worry about our laser attachment. Worry about our new trigger angle or whatever the hell they're worried about. The right of us to be able to have it. Somebody else takes care of that for us. All right, I'll quit ranting. Racket?
Yeah, okay. I'm back. Yeah. I don't know. I don't disagree. We got crazy echo going on here. I don't disagree with with what you're saying. My thing is, is like, is 2A a part of SHOT Show? Like, I don't, it's not an in your face part of SHOT Show, but there's definitely tons and tons and tons of people, companies, whatever organizations. There is 2A representation there. There are folks that are 2A aware, right? And that sort of thing. So there is, and I guess that gets into what you're saying, is that's definitely a solid foundation or whatever to ramp it up and to make it more of a thing.
Okay, so I'm not trying to make it all about 2A, but I could. If anybody wants to have a chat, this is Ask Us Anything. So if anybody wants to have a specific chat about 2A at SHOT, we could definitely do that. I won't cram it into this show. I guess I clicked on a couple of things that showed up. That Jeff is saying NSSF is about shooting sports, not advocacy. They weren't about police either until 2000 or 1989, from what I understand, and then the police side of it and the military side of it paid off, and they started being into it. So, whatever. Things change. They can either change accidentally, they can change, inevitably, they can change with deliberate intent. I think I'm going out of order, but I've already got this one on the screen now. So Milsurp is saying, I wonder how it'll be different from the past SHOT Shows with all the new things the ATF is trying to pass. I know we've had pistol brace ruling of SHOT Show 2023. I'll just briefly say, since 2005, there's been a lot of changes, and the ATF's presence and the impending doom, or the releasing of the hounds or whatever, like when pistol braces started happening and stuff, like that kind of goes up and down. That's the trends, and that's the patterns or whatever. I mean, that's that is never going to end. There's never going to be a time when the ATF is cool, or I guess when the ATF leaves, it'll be nice. But yeah.
Like, will it be different? Like, will it be different? Yes. will it be? But will it be different? Not necessarily. It's like, you
It's
know,
different, but it's always
it's like
different. It'll be
changing.
different, but it's always
It's
different.
like, yeah, it's like, you go, you walk into your house and your wife has changed your drapes to, a pink color, and then a week later you walk in and she's changed them to like a burgundy. Like, did they change? Yeah, but did they really change? Like,
And they're still
nope.
drapes, right? They're not
Like,
shades.
are they different? Like, not really, but they are, right?
No, exactly. And sometimes that'll affect the mood of the show. That'll
Yeah.
affect like the people's, if they're hyped up or not. But they're
Well,
cycles.
and depending
And
on the and depending
people that
on
are,
the depending on what's going on, what we're talking about with the specific issue, right? That could affect individual companies at the show, some more than others. And with the pistol brace ruling, for example, and Jeff out there with Good Report knows exactly what I'm talking about. With the pistol brace ruling stuff, that really was a whole different vibe if you are a creator, whatever, that has relationships and does stuff with, that sector of the industry, right? For the FUDs, for the, competition folks, or the, whatever it might be, people. Um, not so much. I mean, it may be I guess what I'm saying is it it's different, but it's not different. But then it's also dependent upon the perspective as well.
going to add a little bit of complexity to that if I can get this out. So I always talk about the cycles, or people are around for a while and then they're gone. So companies are around, they're gone. Products are around, they're gone. Stupid calibers like 9mm fads, are here and then they're gone tomorrow. But people are the quickest things, especially, I've only been around for 19, I guess, of these things. But in that 19 years, you try to guess how many times a person who might be an industry rep or a rep or a marketing person has bounced from company to company, in and out of the industry. Content creators, hold their try to map out all the content creators and their rise and falls and jumping on and off the board. So there's all these different, and people come into the industry and leave. So many people come into guns recently, right? How many of those came in and also were entrepreneurial, were also interested in education and teaching? How many people are showing Gacho that are instructors nowadays? Never before. How many ranges and gun show promoters are gone, right? Like, things come and go and there's cycles. Nothing's permanent. So with all that in mind, there's layers to this, and I'm going to use the example of a industry rep, a person who works at a gun company, or maybe a middleman distributor, maybe works as some kind of a marketing person with an agency or something, or maybe has had all of those occupations. That person might be in the industry for 8 years and then take all those skills and figure out that they can make so much more money doing patio furniture or beanbag chairs or whatever, that they flee. They just leave because it's not their ultimate purpose in life to be in the industry. It was just a brick in the wall, whatever, right? Whatever. So I'm just saying, there's people that come and go. So with those people coming and going, you bring the ATF in fear. You bring the scare of something. You bring the overwhelming joy of something being gone. Everyone's going to react to that differently. A novice is going to react to the best news ever poorly because they don't understand the scale. They don't understand any kind of perspective of that. Like, oh, the best news ever sounds good. So I'll have that and a cup of coffee. Thank you. Where the person who's been fighting in the trenches their whole lives and they finally get this victory, it's the celebration of a lifetime. So everyone's going to have a different perception of what's going on. If you've never, so many people have never been in a fight before, so they get so scared of a black eye. And then people that have had their jaws and TBI, brain injuries and stuff, are like, please, I wish I only had a black eye. Like, let's fight. If the worst consequences of black eye, they're already punching you. You're not even waiting for the sentence to end, right? There's people that'll never even approach a fight because they got a fear of a black eye. We just have people that are at different scales and different extremes. And that person that's never been in a fight and is scared of a black eye is probably young. It's possible that they're old, but they're probably young. And once they've been around and got in a few fights, they're going to change. So nobody's permanent there either. So that's where it's really tough to say, what is this year going to be like, or what's the potential. I think you got to understand that it's going to be different. And then, like Clover said, I think in the beginning of this whole thing, have some direction, like have some plan. And I say, make your plan good, big, plan big. This is the largest industry event. Whatever your direction is, plan for the ultimate uh, results, and then adapt accordingly. I kind of went on a couple of tangents there, but I guess I was trying to say that it's complicated, and I'm trying to explain some of the reasons why it could be complicated to try to game SHOT Show, or think that it's the same each year. There's so many moving parts that it's very fluid. But I wouldn't be afraid of anything at the ATF. If anything, we have a stronger, more aware group than we've ever had. They're, like always, fragmented, and none of us are on point. But we don't have an NRA anymore. That used to be that role. AIM Surplus is doing it. Chris is out there. Thanks for joining us. Earlier he said he got to see the show live. We're an hour in, so I don't know if he's still watching. But this is from almost an hour ago. AIM Surplus is doing a giveaway for the Ham Solo Blaster. Just a heads up to get over there. So thanks for everybody letting everybody know. I don't know if that's a real thing or if that's a like a movie prop type of thing.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's 22 or what, but yeah.
Oh, it is real? Cool. I should mention we have a poll out there. What's your opinion of SHOT Show 2024? Do you love it? And it unites our love how it unites our community. Do you like the opportunity it provides? And could take it or leave it, or hate it and everything about it. What are you thinking? I'm assuming you haven't looked.
A mute button. No, I haven't. I don't ever bring that side of things up. So, what do I think? What were the options again?
Love it, like it, or hate it.
Uh, Probably like it.
Yep, like is 50. Then with coming in for 25, love it for 19, and only 6% hating it.
Yeah.
But I imagine if I put that on just standard YouTube, that would
it'd be a lot of hate. Yeah.
People would shut you.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put out here that the point of view of a vendor, everything we've been talking about is from the point of view of a content creator. But hopefully there's vendors that are listening to this. We could offer a lot of opinion, if not great assistance as a someone who's going to be interacting with the content creators. There's ways to facilitate that as a vendor. And we could probably have a whole conversation. So I don't know how much of it, I'm not going too much of a tangent here, but as a content creator, you can evaluate a booth quickly and find out if they're even worth your time. I don't know how much of that you're doing anymore, but when you're walking along, you can figure out, like, first off, are they on Instagram? Are they making a big point of it? It's just kind of an obvious one, but you can kind of evaluate and save yourself a heck of a lot of grief and time by not walking up to booths that don't even know what the internet is and asking them if you want to do an interview for your podcast or something.
Right. Well, first of all, I would say exhibitor, not vendor at SHOT, because you can't sell anything. But then the that's parsing words, but important distinction, I think, to be made. I've got some insight. Ghost and I, and TJ out there with Gear Report, Jeff with Gear Report. And this is where relationships come into play too. Get a lot more insight with the exhibitors, and especially this last SHOT Show, we had to help set up a booth. We had to help tear down a booth. We had to, during all that, you get to learn about how much all the different aspects of things cost and how that company, operates during SHOT Show week. And of course, we had to help out with Range Day even last year, and so we did a lot of stuff, and we didn't have to. But we were going to, considering the situation that the company was in, and that's a company that we're friends with and treats us well. But I mean, the exhibitors have possibly the toughest job of all during SHOT Week. A lot of work goes into that. Tons and tons and tons of money goes into that. They don't get to walk the floor hardly and leave the booth and experience the whole show like media or even random attendees, right? Gun shop owners, ranges, instructors, folks like that get to do. So I can't speak to, because I'm not an actual exhibitor, never have been, but I can say that it's a massive undertaking for them, and kudos, newfound respect, I guess, after this last year for the exhibitors and all they go through for sure to make shot happen.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should do a whole show and just to kind of let them know some tips and tricks, ideas, and stuff that could make their money spent, time spent, and effort as useful as possible. And if you're down, we could do that. And as the content creator side, you get some insight there, and then we can offer that to any vendors or whatever that are watching. If you know, yeah, I'm down with that if you're down.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, not right now, but we'll do that in a couple weeks or something. All right, so the next one, I'm just doing them in order here. We're at an hour now. Is this in this Biden economy? It's tough to go to things for me anyway. Yeah, I hear you, but at the same time, nobody's going to say, "Hey, now here's your all expense paid ticket to Shot Show. Thanks
Mm-hmm.
for playing." It's capitalism and all that. So there's bad years. There's no bad years. Is how I'm trying to say. You can have bad financial years and you can have good financial years. If you think it's good to go to Shot Show when everything's jumping and we're winning, no, then they're not listening to nothing. They care less. Then that's just be like walking up to somebody and asking them about something detailed, thing about some topic at a party. Like they're not interested. So when times are dire, it's like asking somebody stuff at a funeral. When it's great, it's like asking stuff at a party. There's those years where it's kind of in between, and they're usually amping up, like, oh man, what's this going to get me? Because we're, like, let's say pre-election year. That's one of the cycles I talk about. We got the election years. Depending on where it's going to swing and how it's going to go, if it's going to be a fear year or if it's going to be a let's all buy beer year, it's going to be a party or it's going to be a let's sulk and get all upset. Uh, they know that is the cycle, so they know it's either trending towards or away from that. When it's trending away from that, I suppose, is when you got your potential to do any kind of deals or whatever. But when it's trending up, people aren't spending money when they're about to make a fortune. They don't need to advertise. They know that everything's about to go their way and they're about to make easy money. If you're at a gun shop, you're going to have people coming in to buy. And if you're a manufacturer, everyone knows gun shops needs guns. If you're a middleman, you just always make money. So there's times when they could care less about media and content, and there's times when they expect their content to be gold. And like, if I talk to you for 15 minutes, how many guns am I going to sell? And that's those expectations can fluctuate, and that can be, well, hopefully we're getting it across here. There's no answer to this, but that's another layer of the mix. I don't know. Was that
Well, this is it's one of those excuses, right? And I love roll call. I'm not meaning that in a malicious way, but you hear it all the time, like Chris from the 740 out there, who is still out there, by the way, after an hour, with, oh, I just don't know, or I can't, yeah, you can do that. You can make an excuse or whatever, or, you can plan a year out, you know, how am I going to make this happen, right? And figure out how to make it happen.
or what about
Point
go on the
blank.
cheap? Go for a
And
day.
once,
Some of us go for a week, but
well,
you can go for a day.
that's I get you. That's making it happen, right? And so, how you make that happen can be a bunch of different ways. I mean, it's the sky is the limit as far as that goes. Um, and then, but you've got to look at something else too. And this is a cold, hard truth you got to look at. And this is not picking on roll call. This is speaking in general to folks that's like, oh, I'd like to go to SHOT Show. Um, so again, SHOT Show is one of those things to where it's a no-brainer. It's a given for me. It doesn't matter what I've got to do to get there because I know that the ROI is absolutely 100% going to be worth it, regardless, right? It's just I've got to get there. That's it. There's a period at the end of that sentence, not but or whatever. No, um, because I know what my work ethic's like. I know as far as the channel what I'm doing. I know I've got the plan, or I say the plan, like the game plan and what I'm going to do at shot, which again can change. But I
Doesn't
know that there's going to be ROI, right? Return significant enough to make whatever investment I've done and whatever I've had to do to get there worthwhile. Now, does everybody have potential or the perspective with that. I don't know. Like if you're, if you're not super serious about, content creation and stuff, um, if you have a full-time job and content creation is absolutely 100% secondary to you, like you mentioned earlier, if you have family issues going on at home, there are a lot of reasons, right? A lot of valid, let's just say, excuses. Um, but at the end of the day, if you're willing to put in the work, um, if you have a pretty solid plan in play, SHOT Show it's going to be a no loss situation. And again, you don't know what you don't know. If you know, you know. And until you get to SHOT Show, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. You're going to dismiss me. You're going to say, "Oh, he's crazy. It ain't worth it," or whatever. But I would advise you to talk to folks like Snob, talk to folks like Chris from the 740, and talk to some other people that understand what I'm saying, and you'll see that I'm not alone in the way that I think on that. You just get there and you'll understand it. Do what you got to do and get there.
So yeah, we won't keep harping on it, but that's a great point, and we hear it all the time. That's why we had so much to say about it, because we hear it all the time. SHOT Show equals NRA annual meetings plus P. The annual meetings have the opportunity to change the NRA. So SHOT Show is an industry show. The meeting part, the general meeting or whatever, that the what do they call it? The exhibits or whatever at the NRAM are a third, I guess. Is that about right? Still, you go to it. I don't go to it anymore.
Yeah, I think as far as the show size,
It's about a third.
speaking, amount of companies there, things like that, I think that's true. SHOT Shows in around plus P. That being said, you're right. They're totally different shows. The public's not allowed at one. There's far more 2A stuff going on at the other.
Oh, that's a
There's
good point
there's
too.
just
Is that
different
you're
things.
going to SHOT Show? You're there to be around the industry, and you're there to we're two media. We, the content creators, are approximately 2,000 of the 60,000 people there. So we're not the
Attendees, yeah.
yeah.
Not
So we're
exhibitors.
not the people there. We're not what the show is for. SHOT Show is for the industry to do their business, and then we're there, and all we can do is get in the way. Essentially, most of the time, we're just getting in the way. Sometimes we can be a benefit, but we aren't. There's no national level organization for content creators for Second Amendment and gun related stuff. There's only individual entities and sometimes networks that are all for their own self interest, and none of them are creating any kind of established. That's something that Poma or something could do. But anyway, there's no established
Oh,
ways to behave or do stuff. So as media, we're a bunch of random, what's the word, whatever, loose or random wild cards. And
yeah.
so we're not consistent. So the industry could care less about us because we're complete wild cards. Every once in a while we benefit them, but most of the time we embarrass them or bother them. So we are what we are. At NRAM, it's for the public. Nobody's doing business. Everybody's just there to fart around. They're probably pissed. They either hate it or they love it. They either love that aspect of their job and they cherish it and they're there to love you, or they hate you and they hate this part of their job and they have to do it. And they would never do it if they could, if they had their choice. Period. That's how it is. Sorry, that's how it is. So they're either smiling because they mean it, or they're smiling because they're getting paid to do it. And the media is there, essentially, like, again, hey, that's cool. We acknowledge you and we don't hate you or whatever. But at the same time, you're not buying nothing, and this person might. So we're gonna ham it up with this guy. And if you can do something for us, then great. But you're earning your keep at both of them, right? You're not.
So yeah,
But just a different. And then both of them, I think you know more than I do, but you're not guaranteed to have like their attention or the product. Even somebody will just walk right up and grab it at NRA,
eh,
at NRA or at
yeah,
NRA, or I mean,
yeah,
or
yeah.
at Show.
But it's far less likely that someone takes something out of your hands or walks into the frame and stuff at SHOT than it is any other public
It'll be a
event.
foreigner at SHOT Show because they're just rude. They
But
just have different way.
but it can happen.
But
You hit on something there as far as creator etiquette that I think is important. you got to realize as creators, it's our goal to bolster, enhance, assist the industry. At least that's my perspective and take on it, right? And if I'm in a booth, and it doesn't matter what show it is, if I'm in a booth, now, if I'm in a booth and I'm having a conversation and another creator walks up, and everybody has badges and there's that sort of thing. Another creator walks up and is trying to horn in and pull me, the person I'm talking to out of that conversation or whatever. That's one thing. Like, screw that guy or gal. Um, However, if we're at something like Shot, and there's a distributor that walks up, or there's a gun shop that walks up, or or even an NRAM, and it's a booth where they're able to do sales because NRAM being different, they are considered. I would consider them vendors there. They can sell certain things. Um, Even if you've got somebody that's walking up looking to buy a product, uh, be understanding enough to realize that our purpose is to help the industry, not to hinder or hurt the industry. And if you take up time that they could be making $1 million deal, or they could be even selling a few $100s worth of product, that's counterproductive to your, at least from my perspective, to your goals or whatever your mission as a content creator. So just be aware of that. Be flexible. And if somebody walks up, there's a distributor that walks up at Shot, and he's the distributor's waiting around, and you're having a conversation with this guy, and he needs to talk to that guy. It looks like, or whatever. So, hey, do you need to talk with this guy? And they say, yeah. I say, oh, well, we'll catch up. We'll finish this conversation later, right? And then just swing back around later on when you see that person's free, and finish up the conversation. That would be my suggestion. So, just a little etiquette there that I recommend.
Yeah, you don't know what owner of a gun shop looks like, or what a middleman. Nobody else with the
You
middleman looks.
don't, but I mean, sometimes you can tell from the badge, right? Or sometimes the person you're talking to may allude to it, like if they say,
Well, I'm
"Oh,
just saying,
I need to
if
talk
you're
to
like,
this one." Like,
I'm talking to this person, and somebody walks up, you can't tell by looking at them who they are. So don't assume shit. That's what I'm saying. Is like, hey, you know what? I can come back. Like you're
don't
not
assume. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I agree with you. Don't assume. But I'm
like,
just
oh, this guy's
saying,
just wearing street clothes. He's not wearing a suit. Like, I'm just
just
gonna keep
try not to
talking.
be in the way. Is all I'm saying. Try not to hinder the companies.
Oh yeah, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm saying, in fact, I would say do your best to
Yeah,
get the hell out of there, because if you show them that you got nothing, I can't imagine being what's it word like pushy is going to help anytime, unless the person is like a completely unique personality type. Being pushy is never going to
right.
help. Okay, so I don't know what we're even
And
talking about here.
well,
So
sometimes
that
it's an advantage to that person to just bring them into the conversation, especially if you got a relationship with that company and the products and stuff like that. I've done that many times. In fact, I did it at TriggerCon, where for about 10 or 15 minutes, I legit worked in a booth talking with the public about some of the products. Why? Because I'd worked with them. I knew about the products. Like, why not? I'm there, you know and the company enjoyed that. The folks I talked to seemed to enjoy that. There was a good conversation about the products, and it gave them a different perspective. They're like, "Oh,
well,
you're an
then
influencer or whatever."
next time have Gizzard film you doing it, so that way you can use it as a thing on piece of content on your channel, add to your
Yeah,
reputation.
it
uh,
it those types of things tend to happen so organically that's hard to do. But I hear what you're saying. That would have been
that's why
kind of
there
neat.
should be some sort of a chicken call that you can make, and when someone hears that chicken call, they come a running with a tripod and a light setup and cameras, so that like they
This is
assemble
true.
and
This
with
is
your
true.
crew. All right, so Gizzard is saying the Shot is the Daytona 500 of the industry. I mean, why wouldn't it be whatever the biggest one is? Isn't the biggest? What's that other one? The 500? That's 500?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. Um, report Jeff saying registered, have plane ticket. Need to figure out who's going on my team this year and get a place to. Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff right there. So we got registration. You can wait or you can initiate. If you've never registered before, get with somebody and make sure it's right for you. It's not going to say Shot Show is perfect for everybody, so you can definitely waste a bunch of money and go there and just get yourself ground into the dirt. Do you remember anybody that's done that? I'm trying to think if he's done that recently. I think that happened more in the past, more able to look before they leap. But there was a couple of years there where people just had unrealistic expectations, and Shot Show is just like, hey, walk around the booths and gather. But as far as registration, we talked about that. Having a plane ticket, it's a whole other thing. Clover's going to be driving how many thousand miles? 1,000 miles? He won't tell us, but he's driving.
To Shot, it's like
Yeah.
12, 11 or 1,200 maybe one way,
So it's
something like
like
that.
halfway across the country. So I don't know. That's probably about the extent most people are going to drive, unless you're dragging stuff with you. Then you have to drive. And then I'd say somewhere around 1,000 miles is where people are going to start to fly. So Shot Show, used to travel quite a bit, and it was, I think, a great aspect of it. And then they got all weird and started doing it at the same place all the damn time, and I think it kind of sucks. But it also is great for me, so I'm not going to complain. It's an 8-hour drive for me. But um, so it's relatively short drive for me. But it is a factor, and I don't think anything's getting cheaper. I know gas is getting crazy, and as I get drive to Vegas, it'll get more and more expensive. Just because of the different cities have different prices, and that can be a factor. And then when you travel to a place, we're all traveling, then we got to stay someplace. So we could, I don't know, let us know if it's worth. I don't know if Clover's got an opinion on it. We should do a whole show on accommodations and travel and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I think maybe we should, probably sooner than later. But Jeff makes a great point that I think people need to pay attention to. We have the people we hang out with, we have our support structures, we have our friends, even online. It's a great opportunity to team up, to split a house, to split a hotel room, to do something like that. Odds are, if it's somebody that you get along with pretty well online, you can make it through a week shot show with that person. It's not like you're going to be, when you're talking about being on the show floor, getting up early. It's not like you're going to be, in that room or in that house with that person, an extended amount of time, especially if you're pursuing night life activities after events and after parties and things of that nature too. Um, and maybe you realize that, hey, me and this person, we get along great online, but hey, we're not going to be able to to team up like that in the future to split a room because the annoying habits or personal things or whatever that could happen. Um, but like I said, usually you get tough through just to figure it out. It's definitely an option. I mean, it can be a lot cheaper to find, an Airbnb, let's say, and split it, 3 or 4 ways between folks. And if everybody has their own bedroom and stuff like that, much different than splitting a 2 bedroom hotel room. If everybody has their own bedroom and stuff in a house, there's a little bit of separation, a little bit of distance. So some of those annoying habits and some of those other little personal things that you're not aware of, obviously, until you meet that person for the first time. Um, you may not be aware of, I should say. Uh, yeah, I mean, it could be, and it could also give you the opportunity, the opposite effect. I'm talking about the negatives there, but it could be the opposite effect. I mean, it could actually strengthen that online relationship and friendship that you have, and you're like, wow, we're much closer, much more alike in the way we think, much better friends than we ever thought. Once we get together and actually hang out in real life. Real life is so much better than, than the virtual world.
So, I mean, they're both got their advantages and disadvantages. For some things, virtual is the only way you can do it. But yeah, you're right. So I wanted to put that out there too. Is I don't know if it's
Well, it's
worth.
not for everybody for sure, right? Like, yeah,
Um, I don't know. Everybody's got a different life story. Everybody's a different age, I suppose, and had different experiences. But we're a generation of the latchkey kids and having to do stuff. So I don't know if they still do, but they used to send kids to camp for a week. So some people have gone to like the military or something and had to go change their lifestyle, life habits, and all that. Without choice. Like maybe if you travel a lot, you understand what it's like to just see a lot, experience a lot of different um, ways of doing things. People that have different ways of doing things. So if you, I mean, even a band, if you're in a school band or something, I bet you they travel. I bet you on a school sports team that travels, right? There's things that people can do in their lives. If you're at some kind of a business that the company travels or something, you have opportunities to go live with people intimately. Is that the way to say it? Like, off the clock, And when you're hanging out with people off the clock, yeah, you're gonna experience their sights and their smells, right? And you're gonna be sitting next to them. You're gonna have intimacy with them. Sometimes you're sleeping on the same thing they slept on. You're sharing things, and just a whole different than the fake polite bullshit thing you do at the office. And that's completely different than you pick your circumstances entirely. Everything's handpicked online. So there's things that some people dig that and can understand it and handle it, you know, appreciate it or at least tolerate it. And there's people that can't. And, I'm just throwing this out there that's all of that stuff is at SHOT Show, depending on how you do it. So you go to SHOT Show and you stay in your fancy hotel room by yourself and you don't hang out with nobody. That's a different experience at SHOT Show than I'll stay who was staying underneath the stairs? Was that Banshee staying underneath the stairs at your guys' house because you wouldn't give him a
That was
room or
budget.
something?
That was budget last year. Well,
But okay,
he went last minute, and it was like if you wanted an economical
I know
way. I
five
mean,
people who stayed on the floor, including me. I've stayed on the floor when I was
he
staying.
slept on an air mattress under the stairs for like $150 for an entire week in Vegas. Like how,
Charged? Oh shit! Usually you don't charge people when they're staying on the floor, but whatever.
like
You guys do it your way. But
well,
yeah,
he had an air mattress. So
but I'm just saying we all have. You have different experiences. You go more time, you're going to have more experiences. I'm not saying you have to do it one way or the other, but I'm just saying I've heard of, been in, and dealt with all these different ways of doing stuff, and that's an element of SHOT Show. I guess I'm getting at that. Well, here's the deal. Look around. Who's still around? Like somebody like Smeggy, who's been here for a bit. Oh man, who's been here for a bit? I think Smeggy's probably the one who's been here for the longest. I don't know how long he just been around, but you can imagine if you've been around, and Jeff's been around for a long time. I don't know how much he's been paying attention, but you just look around. You got your Clover and Ghost, them hanging out together, sharing rooms, solidified that friendship, relationship, agreement, arrangement, or whatever you want to call what they've got going on. Snob and the chicken group over there, Gizzard and the rest, right? Like, if they didn't like hanging out with each other, then that wouldn't have gone very far. There's been, I don't know what the ratio is because who cares? The ratio is just, real life. Like, some things are going to work and some things ain't. Some things could work, but just can't because of whatever. Somebody's a pilot and they're just never going to be able to be in the same place, it's like a consistent schedule. Somebody's in the military or something. So, there's some things that could work, but they just don't. Some things that I'd say most of them probably don't work. But that's just, I think, again, I think that's just a situational thing. Like, there's a bunch of things, not everything works. It would just be unrealistic or the math wouldn't work out. So I think we see quite a few things come and go, but the ones that stick, like SHOT Show, solidifies that. Like that gives you shared experience and brotherhood. I don't know what else to call it. Sisterhood, camaraderie that's at a different level. And that again I bring it up because that's an element of SHOT Show that you can ignore, or most people aren't going to bring it up because it's not something you can bottle and sell, so they're not going to bother with it. But that's an element of SHOT Show that what do they say, the old priceless meme, fill in some old priceless meme, like you can't pay for that, you can't buy that, you can't go to a place and purchase
yep.
that. Okay, so that was go back. Thanks everybody for being lively today. We're out at 90 minutes, so we got to hurry up. Jeff is saying I didn't even carry a sling bag or pack on the show floor this year. That's reckless. I can't abide by that. You're in a building with 60,000 people or something. Lights can go off. We're in an industry where people are trying to prove points and be weird, or at least potentially. Accidents can happen. It's Vegas, so just flood or something. Like there's weird weather. The one building is kind of new. There's no way I'm walking around without lights. Get a way to get out of something. I want to have tools and some basic stuff. So my bag is there to gather patches and to hold stuff. I'm not going to gather paperwork. I'm not gathering, taking people's catalogs or anything on recklessly. But I do have lights and some tools and things in there that spare batteries. I just want to have certain things. It's like essentially a convention purse, right? I'm carrying my bag. I don't know about Clover. he goes back and forth. I know I've seen you carrying tons of stuff, and then I've seen you
I
walking around
will.
with a baby
I will
purse.
typically, what I will typically do is I carry my bag almost all the time, my backpack. However, it's the vast majority of it is empty.
Yeah, it's a
Like you
little baby
said,
purse. It's not even not
sorry,
heavy.
like you said, pocket knife, multi-tool flashlight, tourniquet, first aid, a little bit of food, water, just some things like that in it for the most part. Um, Microphones, which are very lightweight and compact, that type of thing. That's basically it. What I will do is I will get some of the bags that they have, usually the SAR bags or big, huge bags, but I'll usually grab one of those because they've got thousands upon thousands of them. And I'll check one of those. And then what I'll do is when you talk about swag, as I pick up stickers or patches, mostly patches, I will offload those whenever I go up to the media room to recharge to whatever. Usually the bag check is close to the media room, and then I will offload into that bag, um, so that my bag. Well, I guess what I'm saying is my backpack. When I arrive at Shot Show, my backpack with everything in my backpack, everything that's in that backpack isn't necessarily in that backpack all day long. It is when I arrive. It is when I leave, right? And then there are times where, just depending on my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish, like if I need to make the rounds for 2 or 3 hours and there's not going to be any filming or anything like that, right? That's throwing a tourniquet in the pocket in a pocket or a flashlight or something, right? And then I'm gone. I don't have anything. Literally, don't have anything on me. A pen, maybe a pen and a marker that's in my badge holder, a pocket, a tourniquet, and I'm gone. And I'm going to be on the floor for a few hours accomplishing some specific tasks that I know are not going to require any type of the gear. And this just gives me a time to recharge a little bit as far as toting even an empty backpack around.
You've got a lot of things there, so we're 90 minutes in. I'm just going to say we should probably do a show on shot EDC because there's more
Could,
than
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
strategy for
yeah.
it, and you brought up a bunch of good things with the code check and everything. So yeah, that we're going to do a whole show on just EDC, I think. I want to say thanks to Chris, though, dropped $20 into the super chats. Do appreciate that. And also gives me an opportunity to say thanks to our Patreons. Both Clover and I have Patreons accounts. So if you go to patreon.com, that's a social media platform essentially where you can, as a capitalist, support financially the things that you value. There's artists over there, there's writers, there's people that are doing like comic books and novels, and you to support them like $25 a chapter or something like that. People doing podcasts and videos like we do. And then there's, different people creating different things on a regular basis. So you subscribe to these projects that gives us a budget. It gives us an opportunity to pay for subscriptions and for us servers and software that allow us to do more and get the word out there. So most people subscribed at the cup of coffee, buying us a cup of coffee each month. That's $5. And some people buy us lunch once a month. That's $20. Somewhere in between, we've got a couple. I think mine are like 762, obviously, things like that. But people can subscribe at whatever level financially they're comfortable with. And if you subscribe at $5 a month, that's $60 a year. It's not a lot, but it accumulates. Is that $60 a year? Am I crazy? Then it accumulates, and it allows us again to budget stuff. It allows us to do stuff. And when it accumulates, it allows us to pay for servers, and the software lets us do what we're doing. So we do appreciate the people that subscribe. And then, like Chris, the people that drop super chats on us here on YouTube and other places, essentially giving us a tip. And again, financially being able to continue doing what we're doing. Roy did the, what do they call this thing? A channel member super chat, like a free super chat.
Anniversary message or whatever. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And those are cool ways to let people know. Again, we have the same membership system over on YouTube. YouTube just doesn't, it just lets us say thanks and that kind of thing. And there might be some functionality to it. Patreon is a social platform, so it lets us post over there like a blog. We can do polls and just some other things and kind of let people know at their different subscriber levels. So because of the functionality, I prefer Patreon. I guess technically it's a 3% cut or something, compared maybe a 5% cut now, compared to a 30% cut with YouTube. But again, YouTube's given us a functionality and a platform that's on scale that isn't even near what Patreon can do. So both of them are useful and both of them are appreciated. But since we're talking tech here, I figured I'd get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts. But Roy says, never been to SHOT Show, so it's fun to hear about the behind the scenes and logistical social aspects of it. I appreciate that. Thanks for the comment. And I hope that I wouldn't be spending time on this if I didn't think it was not just interesting, but I feel necessary. When we don't talk about how the sausage is made, people assume way too much. They take shit for granted and they assume that it has to be given to them or presented to them. And that drives me nuts because I've seen, like I mentioned with my story of how it went from film cameras to now selfies and, the video and streaming video and live and everything along the way. I've seen our industry change and adapt. So I know we do it. When you think about metal frame guns went to alloys when I was in high school, and people flipped the shit thinking you could put a gun together with an aluminum frame. Now people cream their jeans to get an aluminum frame gun because they can't wait to get the next alloy frame. Things change, and where companies would have never even contemplated making an alloy frame in the 80s, they're wishing they could make every alloy frame, in 2023. So things change is part of it's an aspect of SHOT Show that, one, it isn't manipulated enough, it isn't done with intent enough, but it's also not ever focused on hardly. So I appreciate the comment, and I think this is not just entertaining, but hopefully useful. Others, people watch this and then they go, "Oh, I could do this better," or "I'm going to do that also," and hopefully that'll catch on, and people will understand that SHOT isn't just the presentations. SHOT is the industry getting together. It's all here's my Instagram feed, what we did after hours. Here's the Instagram feed of what we ate. Here's my Instagram feed of, setting up. Here's my Instagram feed of being on the airplane and getting my camera stuff together. All of that is SHOT Show. And think about all the people that we reach, that we're part of, and the industry that we support in order to make SHOT Show happen. So it's the roots of SHOT Show. So I appreciate the comment and the support. All right, we're 90 minutes in. I'll try to quit ranting here. Unless Clover had something to say with that, I'll go on to. Oh, we already did this one with Jeff.
Going.
Gizzard, back from when we were talking mics, said good wireless lapel mics with sound isolation are absolutely vital at SHOT. I'm going to just say enough on that. Everybody knows all you got to do is buy these things for like $30 or something. You can pay more if you want. You can pay less if you want, like $50, $30. You can buy a thing that plugs into your phone, essentially away all the other noise, and you get the person you're listening to. These guys have all that. Sounds amazing. But we could go into conversations on tech. I'm less interested in doing a tech one. Just don't get into the tech so much. But I'm down for doing a tech one. The audience or Clover decided to do a show on SHOT Show Tech. Like Jeff was saying,
So G-Web's roboted majorly there, and I don't even hear him now. So heard a little bit of static. Maybe he'll come back.
Oh,
Sounds like it's trying to come back in. Yeah, it's just got quiet. So, okay. G-Webs may need to reboot. So I guess I'll take this and run with it. Maybe G-Webs needs to back out and come back in or something. But Jeff out there with Gear Report, he says, I've never carried a light at SHOT. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. I tend to agree with G-Webs. Probably a good idea. Have a little, AAA light, just a little lightweight something. But, hey, if you feel comfortable with whatever. Let's see, what else do we have out there? I'm not seeing the tagged. She's back, maybe.
yeah, I think I'm still getting bad internet lines over here, though. Am I back?
Gizzard out there says media is the media rooms where the cool stuff happens. Definitely, in the mornings, get there early. The vast majority of people throughout the day, not so much. Early morning, end of the day, is when I really enjoy the media room. You get to see some of our other colleagues and in the creator sphere and all of that. You get to meet up, potentially meet up with some people, learn about some new people in the creator world doing new things, that sort of stuff. So in that aspect, yeah. And then of course, being able to sit on the couches at a table, hang out a little bit, kind of war game. It's the same aspect as we were talking about earlier, and we are crunched for time. We got so many things we got to go through here, but thing we talking about was sharing a room or a house potentially with somebody, and the support structure, the feedback you get, and stuff like that, and being able to war game the day before, war game your plan, maybe around a table eating whatever little breakfast foods they have there. Early in the morning or into the day, even recapping with more than just folks that you would be rooming with or something like that, and potentially getting some outside perspective. And you never know when you're like, hey, made a deal with this company over here, and then this company goes, oh, or this person goes, hey, you know what? I know so and so. I talked to them today, and they would be a great match, to pair up with that or something like that, right? So, and then you're like, oh snap, didn't think about that. Thanks. I'll go check, those people out. I'll go down and I'll talk to them, right? Um, and so you never know. I mean, you get more chances of folks giving you information that's outside the box, I guess is what I'm saying.
So I got bad internet. This is my Gizzard modem too, so I'm not blaming Gizzard for that disconnect, but hopefully I'm back now. Oh no, now I'm getting bad internet again. So I'm not back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah,
Oh,
you're back.
okay. So yeah, media room is not consistent. Clover has experienced a couple of good years of it. He's ignoring like a, the person. He's ignoring the bad years, but room fluctuates. Depend on it anymore. It is a resource that media gets, and it can be really good, but assume it's going to be a bare resource, and then you'll be surprised. You'll appreciate anything better they offer. Um, did Mike connected still? Milsurp Duo is saying I have to change.
You're still here. Keep talking, man.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I started that one. I don't get the problem, right? NSSF is about shooting sports, not advocacy. I think.
Oh, probably just to recap. Again, if you change anything from previous year's registration, you have to go through the process all over again. So keep that in mind moving forward. Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Patriot in the dark, saying, "Hey, question: is there political or legislative sections at SHOT Show?" There's a 2A aisle, like a hallway, where they shove all the 2A booths,
Mm-hmm.
so people can ignore them in one spot. And they had big pieces of SHOT Show before, and then done on their piece, but it wasn't like sanctioned or it wasn't part of SHOT Show. When NRA bought big chunks of SHOT Show on the big floor, NRA or SHOT Show may have said about it, but mainly is like, hey, these people bought a lot of SHOT Show, so take a look at what they're doing. I don't think they've ever hated each other, but I don't think they've ever gone out of their way to like politically align NSSF and SHOT and NRA. But that would be the closest thing, other than the individual organizations, or occasionally a booth here and there. But most of the political stuff is going to be more like suicide awareness, suicide prevention, I guess, mental health awareness, those kind of political things. Because really, there's not that many politics there. Like if the state of Utah was dealing with something, it's not like the manufacturers from Utah put up a thing in their booth that says, "Let your people know about, HR blah blah blah." I think that would be neat. Same way I was going to rant, or I ranted earlier about advocacy groups, and I think that would be a great aspect of booths. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody do anything like that before. Maybe suppressors. Maybe some of the companies that sell suppressors or manufacture suppressors would bring up ASA, the American Suppressor Association, but that's about as close to political as like when it touches their industry. Clover booked for a second. Ghost says, question, with some of the big dogs not going to SHOT anymore, has that caused SHOT to be more or less inviting to media and buyers? I think you mean like the big companies, right? Like SIG and Mossberg, are those the biggest ones? A couple of companies that didn't like how SHOT Show dealt with the BS and all the rules, and started boycotting it. And then I don't think they liked, I don't know what it is they liked, honestly. That there must have been some elements that they didn't like, and they've sort of branched off and done their own things, or I don't know. So the question, though, is, has that caused SHOT Show to be more or less inviting to media? I don't think they're a big enough dent. If it was a 30%, I think then maybe you'd see some influence, maybe. But I think a 50% dent or more would have to the going hot or cold on SHOT Show, but that has to do with their success at SHOT Show individually. I don't know if I'm still connected because my internet connection seems like it's really going back and forth. But when somebody has a bad experience at SHOT Show, then they tend to come back from SHOT Show and say how bad SHOT Show is. When somebody has success at SHOT Show, they tend to come back and say how great SHOT Show is. So I don't trust anybody unless I've had a conversation with them or kind of understand where they're coming from when they start talking plus or minuses about SHOT Show. But and same with buyers. I'm assuming you go there and you're looking at your phone all day. You paid $15,000 for a small booth downstairs, and people are walking by, and you're like, I'm not upstairs. I'm not in the new building. I'm not a big enough booth. Whatever. My booth is about 9mm, and nobody likes this fat caliber. Well, if you're just sitting there looking at your phone all day and you have an unsuccessful SHOT Show, you're probably going to go home and mope about how SHOT Show was a waste of money and you didn't like it. It was no good. And then you could be that same size company with that same expense, and you could be jumping around drinking a Red Bull every 8 hours and, trying to gather as many business cards and have as many conversations, learn as much about your customers, learn as much about the industry. So I'm here and I'm spending $15,000 to have essentially the entire industry, 60,000 people potentially walk past me. What can I gather? What can I build with my facility that can, solve more needs? What can I change about my product to get people to demand it instead of just understand it? What can I do here? You've got such potential as a booth. So you come out of SHOT Show and you're like, wow, our company is better than it was before. We didn't sell so much, but next year, holy shit. Or you come out of SHOT Show and again, you like, well, I played a lot of Angry Birds. Over back. Okay. I don't know if you want to throw anything on that. I don't know how fast we got to get out of here.
When I seen this pop up earlier, the only thing that popped into my mind is it seemed like I've heard, and registration's only been open for like a week or something now, but I've heard that several people say that registration was more stringent this year for some reason. So I know that it doesn't have to do with the booth and the companies; that has to do with the show. And I don't even know that there's any truth to that. Just maybe a very small sample of people.
And I don't know what if, it's probably different all the time, but if it's like, perceived, we only have so many badges, or if it's a perceived like the media's getting too crazy, or if it's a perceived like we don't want this to turn into a political, whatever, they will kind of tighten and loosen the ropes. Unapologetically arm. FYI, had you heard we're rebranding, dropping the DC project and going with women for gun rights from now on? Did you know about that?
I was not aware. No.
I don't know. Is that new info? I mean, is that like, are we hearing about it pre-launch, or did I miss something? I did not know that. So thanks for the insight. Are you pro or against Women for Gun Rights, WGR over DCP, DC Project.
I would prefer to see a combination like DC Project / Women for Gun Rights or something, but that's just me.
I just hate gun rights. Like, for some reason, guns don't have any fucking rights. But whatever. I know people do it for brevity or whatever. But
Women for Gun Rights just doesn't sound as, I don't know, it just doesn't have the punch to it to me.
WGR
And
just seems weird to me. But I guess they're doing it, so I guess we'll shut up.
well, no,
I
no,
guess
no, no. I'm not knocking it at all. I mean, regardless of the work they're doing is the work they're doing, right? And we
exactly.
can second guess in war game because we're not the movers and shakers making the decision in the organization. So
Yeah,
what we
exactly.
think at the end of the day doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, like moms demand action, like that's a very catchy, very like powerful name, and I think that's why they get the traction they do is just on the name alone. It's a well thought out to me name.
I just have to look at it from my side of a tech internet dude, and like, oh my goodness, like you build all this momentum, credibility, and effort, and then like, nah, now let's start again real quick. Like, all right, I mean, you can do it, but
And more generic, right? I guess that's what I'm saying.
oh, I didn't even think about that. Don't get me
Yeah.
started. Okay, so let's keep moving. He just said, I think SHOT is a great opportunity for vendors that have the capital to have a booth. Just I wanted to throw that out. You know, they do have a couple. SHOT Show, NSSF, and the promoter have created some opportunities with the pop-ups and with the, now I'm forgetting what it's called. Like, they originally just had little booths where you could stand there and not even sit down hardly and show people your stuff in the aisles. And it did cram the aisles up, but it gave people an opportunity to much more economically be at SHOT Show and to get all that stuff I talked about, you know, feedback and information out and that kind of stuff. But then they moved all that into that room. What do they call that? Is that, it's not the industry showcase or something? There's, it's some kind of, but they moved it all into a room for 2 days. It's not the pop up, is it? I don't know. They I don't remember the name,
Yeah.
but they,
Next, Shot Show Next was in the hallway. Shot Show Pop Up was the one upstairs.
okay, so they had these little booths in the hallway, and then they said you could have an even bigger booth, smaller than a SHOT Show booth, but like a gun show booth, upstairs in this separate room for 2 days, and that was another like $5,000, I think, instead of 15,000. So they did try to do that, and they do try to do that, and I think that's it's frustrating. It's nice that they do it. It's frustrating because it's not consistent, and it's understandable that it's not consistent because they're trying to figure it out, right? So it's like one of those things. Like, you just have to again be fluid. Like, it'd be great if they put everything somewhere and we knew about it and we could just all go there. There are things like that. The new product showcase thing, I never go there because I hate it, but it is consistent. Like that thing in the hallway downstairs where they have everybody can put one new thing into the display, and somebody could technically walk through this little walkway and see every single new thing at SHOT Show, you know, easily. But since you can't bring cameras in there, it's useless. So who cares? But you know, that's consistent. So if they did something consistent for smaller opportunities for vendors, or like lower cost opportunities for vendors that was more temporary or smaller or whatever, and then just leave it there, that'd be great. And not put it on the freaking day of the shoot. You know, like that's the other problem, is for a while there weren't they doing it on Monday when everybody was at the shoot. So again, it's they're not perfect, and they're trying things, and sometimes it's a win and sometimes it ain't, but there ain't nothing cheap. And even if you got a
I think
$5,000 booth instead of a $15,000 booth, guess what? Your hotel room ain't cheaper, and your employees still cost money, and health insurance ain't cheaper, and travel ain't cheaper. So all of that's still the same price. It's just that your booth's a little bit cheaper.
well, and I think companies in the industry need to realize potential opportunity with just going to Shot Show. Um, you don't necessarily have to have a booth to be able to, network and expand and potentially get some really, really awesome things done. Um, and I spread that message with some of the smaller companies at TriggerCon. I said, hey, y'all planning on SHOT Show? Oh, we really can't afford it. I said, are y'all at least going to SHOT Show? Like, might be worth your while to walk around, meet with some companies, network, talk to some people. You don't know what kind of doors that may or may not open, right? And that could be worth an investment for a couple of nights stay in Vegas for
Yeah,
sure.
in Vegas. And again, the camaraderie and the team building, that you bring your group together to Vegas to experience the trip and the adventure. It's not really a vacation, but at the same time, you're going to Vegas. and get to keep a finger on the pulse of the industry. You get to see what customers, gun shop owners, and what kind of stress, tension, lack of, is happening. That's invaluable. It's coming back from that. It's not good. It's not going to immediately give you, you know, a benefit, but at the same time, you are getting a benefit. Like you're going to have an understanding um, for business direction, for scale, right? That I think it's hard to, no picture can get that. It's hard for even somebody really good writer to get that across, right? You just walk in the aisles, and if there's a buzz or if there's a murmur or if it's a mopey year or whatever, like you're feeling that by now, right?
Yep.
So Aegis, and then let's see, Smeggy's out there. Suggestion for people going but not sure what to team. Wait, suggestion for people going but not sure what to do. Team up with people and offer help. So I'm wondering, is Smeggy saying he's going? He's looking for what direction to go? That's a good point. I would say first off, find out what Pink's doing. Pink is sort of you guys are like the Ronins, I guess. People, we do know some people that go, that have been affiliated with projects and started going to SHOT Show and intermittently go, or go consistently but without like an affiliation necessarily, like multiple affiliations, and then essentially like Pink, one of the people I talked about earlier, is he'll just let people know out there on whatever platform he's using, if it was gun channels or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, but let the people who are paying attention to whoever it is he's chatting with, me or Clover or whoever, hey, well, I'm going to be there. Let me know what you want to see pictures of, and then he gets those pictures and gives him something to do. He accomplishes specific tasks for people who may not be able to get pictures of something because somebody, if nobody was going to take pictures of the XYZ, so would have been kind of a random chance to even see a picture of it. Now you definitely get a picture of it. That's a nice strategy, or a nice thing to try. But I'm sure if we sat around and thought about it, there's probably a whole bunch of things you could do as an individual project listly going through SHOT. I think documenting SHOT Show itself would be awesome, but that's a project probably. It might be more effort than he's looking into. Anyway, you got anything on that one?
I need a cameraman. Just saying, Smeggy.
Yeah, and depending on how I do with the Daily Gun Show, you could just go as co-host. Has there been? Smeggy also asked, has there been a gun rights policy conference review show? I only attempted to watch it on Sunday, and then attempted a couple of times to poke at it, the recording of Saturday, and then I was there for half of AmCon, but I have not watched the rest of AmCon's reviews or nothing. But more than willing to host one. I don't know how many people are interested in attending one. So most of the people I know that would normally do that stuff weren't there, or probably have low, I'm assuming low interest in it because they weren't there or paying attention to it while it was live or anything. So I don't know who to do that with, in other words. Plus, I'm pretty much less and less stoked on it, so I wouldn't be able to fluff it up very much. I wouldn't have any, what's the word, ambition to fluff it up. Because finally, I think our last one here, unless I'm missing something, said water bottle, stay hydrated. Imagine we'll do an entire show on strategies for SHOT, thinking of like shoes and food and mental sanity through the thing, parking, travel, getting around. We could do a show on the logistics and the strategies of SHOT.
Definitely. Last year, was it last year? I think it was that they did the water bottles. I think those are.
Oh, you mean that they started giving us the metal water bottles?
We had that said media or whatever, and we could.
I think that was. Oh man, was that from the stress or whatever? Like the year after that, and it was some sort of version of. I don't remember, but yeah, it's for 2 years. I think they've been doing it now. I don't like walking around with metal. I mean, if they're going to give us a plastic bottle, I'm going to pour it into metal. Like, no thanks. I'm just walking around with the plastic. Plus, you can crush the plastic and get rid of it. Um,
Well, they didn't give us anything. They had water coolers in the meeting room that you filled them up with.
oh, that's right. It was a cost saving thing then. So yeah, that's lame. I still say that's lame. Give me a plastic thing. I don't want to carry around metal. But I guess it was aluminum or something. I think I have one, but I didn't use it or anything. Let's see. I'm trying to go through here. I'm missing some stuff, I assume, but we're 2 hours in, so we'll start wrapping it up. Unapologetically, Arm said that they did announce that at GRPC, so I missed that. She also said lived through this with the well-armed women, switch into Armed Women of America. Roll with it at this point. The job won't change. Exactly, and it's just 6 of one, half dozen of the other. What are you going to do? I like how well-armed women went to Armed Women of America with the WAW went to AWA. It's just like kind of a, I don't know. It just seemed more of a I don't know. I like that transition better than the. Well, now that Clover said the generic keyword thing, that's just bugging me even more. I'm not sure. Anyway, I know small companies share a booth. It can happen, I guess. Occasionally, I think that's more often when they're owned by the same bigger company. And it's more like, hey, we're taking this booth, but we're gonna use it for both our brands. I don't know if that happens so much. Have you seen it
I've
with?
seen I've seen a smaller company. I'm sure there was money exchanged under the table where a smaller company paid another company to get their product in the booth with said other company, and they sort of put them on the SHOT Show ledger as an employee of the bigger company. I've seen stuff like that happen.
Oh, like a table, like a bigger booth, and then here's a table with kind of a separate entity. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it'll be like, hey, there's our magazine manufacturer, but they're also a machinist on their own. So you can go talk to them about all your machining needs or like something like that. All right, I think we hit everything. So again, thanks everybody for joining us for this one. It was the goal was to just offer more awareness and some transparency to the whole SHOT Show thing. Hopefully, a different point of view than the just watch us at SHOT Show or support us. Pay for our travel to SHOT Show and then sit and wait for us to show you, all the amazing things. I'd rather say, hey, if you're working in the industry and you're curious, get yourself there, figure it out. Somebody had said something about the cost. Get paid to go there. Guess who's the 60,000 people are? You think those are all a bunch of Clovers or something? No, it's like somebody who owns a company. They got to go. Maybe they bring their wife. That's 2 people. And then they've got 3 or 4 people at the booth. Maybe there's a person run back and forth. And then there's somebody who brings them lunches or does stuff for them. So there's like 8 people now. Be one of them 8 people. Maybe there's a gun shop that attends and they bring, I don't know, 4 people with. So that one person is going to check out this aspect of the shop, the ammo, let's say. Another person is going to shop guns and another person shops accessories. The owner's going. And now you're going to show up and be the in between. You're going to facilitate something and make it worth their while to throw you on their thing and bring you along. Maybe you pay for your own ticket and you sleep on the floor, but they get you into the door and you help them run around and be a facilitator so that they make their job at SHOT Show better. And you can help them, just be useful. Now you come out of it, you've helped the shop, and you've got a different relationship with that shop. Okay, you don't have a shop that you like. Maybe there's a manufacturer in your area. Maybe there's a content creator in your area. So there's 60,000 people at SHOT Show. Get paid to go if you don't have enough money to go.
Yep.
Ozzy's saying be Clover's cameraman, but I'd have get on one knee and that wouldn't look good. You get one of them stabilizer rigs. So same way when they're filming like the miniatures, and they like on the old HBO thing, they run that camera over the miniatures. You just get one of the camera rigs. So run that thing from the ground up. Everything would be like a upshot. That'd be kind of neat, like version of SHOT Show. The dog's eye view of SHOT Show. Great conversation. Sorry, I've been listening in for a while. Thanks for Shoot Fires for joining in. I donate to someone for a ticket. Well, you don't get tickets. How much does it cost to go to SHOT Show? $200.
Oh, for the average person?
Well, for a gun shop owner or whatever,
I have no idea.
it's hundreds. When you're when you buy a booth, they give you a certain number of tickets, and then you start paying for them after that. But
Should
as
say
a
registrations. They give you a certain number of registrations, but yeah.
I'm trying to see if it tells you in here. Register
Actually, passes would be a better word.
attendee. 24 registration. It doesn't tell you, I don't think, before you have to actually register.
I think it's like a couple $100. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's like $250. I'm just saying that because I think it was like $250 years ago. So yeah, for a gun shop to take you, you're gonna have to earn your keep. I don't think there's too many gun shops that just don't care about that kind of money. But if you're a good customer, I'll shut up because I've seen people. Well, I've seen all kinds of things at SHOT Show.
Oh, I've seen gun shops take good customers. Absolutely. Yep.
I've seen people walk around going, "I'll take that, and I'll take that, and I'll take that," and the person following behind him is their FFL going, "Yep, yep, yep," and placing those orders. So yeah, there's that does happen. Yeah, what's Eat Clover eating? You won't tell us. It's some kind of wait. He was talking
Meatloaf.
about it today. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I didn't mute quick enough. Apparently.
All right. Well, so I kept saying thanks everybody for joining us. We are at the 2-hour mark. Next week we'll probably get back onto whatever the next topic was. We did mental health last week. Let me jump over. Oh, you know what? Let me also. Oh crap! Is it that time already? Hello.
Yeah, it's 2 hours in. It is noon Central Standard Time. So I don't know if we're going to pull the plug on this one, but I'm assuming probably so. I've got meatloaf to finish eating, and I've got to get to the local gun shop because I have new guns to pick up. So I don't know if G's listening or if I need to pull the plug on this. I don't even know. I think I'm going to pull the plug on it, though, just to see if I can. So, yeah, don't forget about. Can I run his commercial? I wonder if I can run his commercial. Let's see if I can run that. Um, Stand by. Yeah, I don't see it. Free patch Saturday. Let's just see what happens. We're gonna play around here since she's away from the keyboard.
Yeah, sorry, I got to end it. Were you ending it right now?
Oh yeah, I was playing around with your banners and your pictures. I was gonna try to find your outro and end it. So, but I'll
Oh
let
no.
you do it.
Yeah, we're going to end it. So thanks everybody for joining us. All the stuff we would normally say abbreviated to goodbye.